Okay, welcome back to Pioneers and Builders in Jacksonville, Florida. We're a little north of Jacksonville this time. We're in Fernandina Beach. We're at the Mocama Brewery. I'm here with Andrew Batey, the owner of Mocama, here to talk about all things coffee, all things beer, all things venture capital. We have a huge story to tell, and we're happy to share it today. Andrew, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely. Well, I want to start with the origin story. I'm very grateful for how we met, and I want to make sure I shout him out. Matt Dennis put us in touch, and Matt, if you're watching this, we do appreciate that.
Great guy. One of the only journalists I like.
Yeah, me too. But he put us in touch for two reasons. One, he knew about the podcast, and he thought this would be a great place to put some love on. And two, you do a lot of work in tech, with venture capital and whatnot, and I'm pretty heavy in the entrepreneurship space here. So we're going to talk about all of that.
Cool.
You got here a couple years ago. Let's just start there. You fell in love with Amelia Island.
Yeah, I've been kind of a wandering stone for a long time. I went to school in Canada and for university, and I got discovered selling raffle tickets when I was 15 years old at a charity event. And this woman from LA really took me under her wing and said, "You should come intern for me." She was a literary agent for film and TV, so I had the privilege of being one of the youngest agents ever bonded with the Writers Guild. I got to sell a lot of really cool books and properties, and took that money and took things I was doing and started investing into LA. And that was like my first real foray into entertainment, like in this kind of capacity. You know, I owned, sorry, my son's joining. I owned 9 bars and restaurants and a bunch of other things in Los Angeles, and sort of was the front of house. I'd never done the manufacturing side. I think that kind of set me up for here. But long story is, I built and sold 4 tech companies, started a venture capital fund. My last company, we're still the leader in fraud detection for the music industry. So we sit on top of most of the streaming services and tell them which streams don't count, which ones do. And every artist last year, I'm proud to say, made 23% more money because my company exists.
That's wonderful. And that's BTAP.
BTAP, yeah. So we moved here mainly because Canada isn't that favorable for entrepreneurs. Once you're successful in Canada, there's a lot of taxes that come with it. They were changing capital gains to 66% and a bunch of crazy stuff like that. So we decided to leave Canada, but then the question was, where do we go? And so we spent a year and a half testing different places out, renting houses for a month, living there, kind of rotating through different places in the US. We really focused on the South. I love the South. My mom's from Chattanooga originally.
Okay.
So I really wanted to focus on like Tennessee, South Carolina. Florida was not in the mix. Like this was not like, if you could draw the map of where I was going to go, Florida was like zero consideration.
Okay.
And a good friend from San Diego said, you should go check out this island called Amelia Island, Fernandina Beach. It's so cool. And it reminds us of San Diego. And our parents say from 50 years ago, this is what San Diego was like. So we came here just on vacation, really.
Yeah.
And I totally fell in love with it. From the first second we got here, maybe it was the way the sun was shining, the moms in the strollers, how nice everyone was. It was like the South in Florida.
Yeah.
Like I did not expect.
It was charming.
It was really charming. And the people of the community were different. It wasn't like Miami. Like in my head, Florida was Miami.
Yeah. That's fair.
And I hadn't spent a lot of time here. And so coming here, I was like, man, this is a place, this feels like home. And so before we left vacation, we bought a house and we moved here. No friends, no family. We just went all in on Amelia Island and came here. And we kind of like kept quiet for 3 years. We came to Mocama almost every day for 3 years to get the fantastic coffee. We loved how spacious it was. It's a space like really nothing else on the island is like it. And so we came here quite a bit. And so when the opportunity came up, we decided to try and save it.
Yeah. You said when we first met, you used to work out of here.
Yep.
So, it's one of those places where you can set up shop, obviously drink good coffee, but you can hammer away at work and you can kind of be in your own little silo.
You come here Monday through Friday, it looks like a co-working space. There is like, I don't know, 20 to 40 people with their computers and they're having Zoom calls. And, it's like an informal co-working spot where everyone hangs out. And it's really become like a sort of a beacon for remote workers, I would say, in this area. It's pretty cool.
And you feel good enough about the Wi-Fi connection that you can have 20 people working out of here?
The Wi-Fi is great. I would say we invested heavily in Wi-Fi when we first got here. Okay. Especially the Wi-Fi was always good, but when my wife and I took over, we really made sure we tried to lean into that stuff, lean into community. My wife describes this place like a harbor. She wants it to be like different boats come up at different times for different things. So during the morning, you might have like the mahjong ladies playing like a bunch of mahjong. And then all of a sudden, all the coworkers are here. You'll have Bible studies in the early in the morning. I worked an early morning shift here a couple weeks ago because I think it's important every single role. So I was
Of
actually
course.
due opening at 6 a.m. and there was a huge Bible study group waiting at the door to come in. And so this place really does mean something different for everybody, but it's a community space that everyone shares and enjoys. And I think that's the important part.
Yeah, man. Well, great work, honestly.
Thank you.
You started and sold 4 tech companies.
Yeah.
And then you got into beer. Those aren't the same thing.
Yeah. I've also lost a couple tech companies that didn't go well. So like, to all the founders out there, like we don't always win.
Yeah.
Win some, lose some.
But you still won enough.
Yeah, we've won enough.
But you go from tech to beer. Those are not the same industries. They're kind of built differently. And you were talking about you worked in the front of house. Well, now you're in the back of the house doing all kinds of financials and paperwork and processing and distribution and everything else that comes along with it. You don't really have to do that in tech, right? You build the product and then you integrate it.
Scalable.
Yes. So what was the adjustment like?
I think one, it comes down for passion. Like I've talked pretty openly about ADHD and like some of my struggles with that. And I think I've sort of made sure whatever I'm working on around me, I'm very passionate about because otherwise I have a really tough time doing it. I think the nature of being a VC is actually learning people's businesses really quickly. So when you think about, we have 14 funds as a venture capitalist, we have Side Door Ventures as the company I founded.
Yep.
I actually called it Side Door because no one actually knew I was a VC when they first met with me. They would meet with me because I was a founder and they wanted my advice. And then I would say, that's a really good idea. I'll write $500,000 check. And then they would be like, wait, you're an investor? No one knew I was an investor. And I liked it that way because they will tell you, here's my churn problem. Here's the problem I'm having with vendors. Like, oh, my employee is leaving. My co-founder is leaving. Like we're all fighting. If you're a VC, everything looks rosy. Like they give you the best picture. If you're a founder, they tell you what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And so I called it Side Door Ventures because for the first probably 40 investments, no one knew I was the investor. They all thought I was just like a founder that was being introduced to them to sort of like help them out.
So you were coming through the side door.
So I was coming through the side doors. That's why I named it Side Doors. So anyway, fast forward, we have 14 funds, 300 investments, an average IRR across all funds at 61%. So there's this like, we've won massively. We are a top tier fund. And I think the skill that we all bring is 2 things. One, we have 23 exits across the team. So we're all founders. We've been there. It's hard to bullshit a bullshitter. Like we all understand what your real numbers look like and we know what questions ask. 2, I'd say that we have to learn businesses really quickly. I don't know anything about aerospace, but I have to learn really fast about manufacturing drugs in space for human consumption or how you're doing AI biotech to sort of test proteins or, manufacturing fully autonomous railroad vehicles.
Yep.
So I think the thing that sets most of us apart as investors is being able to get up to speed quickly. And the one thing I realized really early on in my career, having jumped between different industries, is everyone's always like, oh, it's not the same as my business is different. Like, oh, that's great. You did that, but you don't understand coffee. And the reality is, I think more businesses are more similar than you would expect.
Okay.
And I think if you have a framework for growth, have a framework for understanding opportunities, have a framework for connecting the dots, and I say framework because I quite literally have a framework. Like I look at retention analysis, then I go through acquisition, then I do linear channels. I have like a visual representation that I then build a quant model on. And so everything I do is like part science, part math, part art. And I guess the point is that from that context, whether it's beer, whether it's call boxes, that are renting out, whether it's aerospace, drones, I think you can learn businesses really quickly. And so I've never been scared to, that's a very long-winded answer to just say,
okay.
It doesn't bother me to just jump in and figure it out because I feel like I have the tools to figure it out.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about how you turned this one around.
Yeah.
I mean, you came in, you bought it because you loved it, but then you knew that there were some areas for opportunity. So what did you do to come in and make this place
let's not sugarcoat it. They were losing $800,000 to $1 million a year. This place was going under. They had 5 days left till they were going out of business. Employees were not going to get paid. They didn't realize, you pay after they'd worked, so no check was coming. It was a rough position. And I think from the outside looking in, no one realized that. It's always busy. People are always here. But as I started looking through it, I was like, man, when I'm here, no one has a drink in their hand. No one's eating food. They're using the space, but not contributing to the space in a sort of monetary or meaningful way. And so I started thinking about like, what is the product mix they have? Why aren't people buying things? So it was a lot of the sort of, it was obvious to me that there were things that could be fixed to adjust it. And then when you look at sort of the bigger pieces from the outside, you see the tap room, but from the inside, 55 to 60% of our space is manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they doing supply chain? Are they buying things in bulk? Are things efficient? So like, for example, we were buying bags of grain for 70 cents a bag when you can put a silo in the back and buy it for like 20 to 25 cents a pound. 70 cents a pound versus 20 cents a pound. Cans, we were labeling cans and wrapping cans. Like this is a wrapped label, right?
Yep.
As the line doesn't go all the way to the top. It's beautiful, but it's not a printed can that goes all the way to the edge. Like this is printed. Moving from wrapped to printed, we went from 28 cents a can to 11 cents. And the best part is this is American made. This is an American made can. This is a Chinese made can, or was before we started buying them from America. So like it's pretty crazy to me that you can get cheaper, but the problem is you have to be able to buy in bulk. You need to buy a truckload. And if you have no money, how are you buying cans for $50,000?
Yeah.
Like you just can't invest in that inventory. So it was a really interesting situation where I felt like they had the right direction. They just sort of like got stopped before they could get over the line and sort of started making decisions that were based on sort of, short-term survival
Right.
instead of a long-term sort of opportunity. And
so with 5 days left here, you swooped in and purchased it.
Yeah, they called me. So the craziest thing was I was wearing a hat, like for my 40th birthday, because I'm crazy. I decided to do an MMA fight. And so I fought
I remember
on TV.
Yeah.
It televised in 100 countries, 51 million viewers. And I was wearing their hat in the post-fight interview because they'd given me this hat, this Mocama hat, for being such a premier customer or whatever. I had this hat. So I just happened to take the hat with me. And the combination of events happened and they ended up seeing me wearing the hat. And I think that's why they thought of me. And then they emailed me and said, hey, things aren't going well. Can you help us? And originally they asked me to invest. And when I looked at the numbers, I just didn't believe in the strategy that they were deploying to win.
Yeah.
And I felt like we had to overhaul everything. And also historically, they were four best friends that were all arguing with each other. And that never really works. You always say, in VC, we call it one throat to choke. And I don't mind being the throat, choke me. Normally it's my wife doing the choking.
Stop that, dude.
Just kidding.
Stop that.
But she's amazing. My wife's really the heart and soul of this place. And we divided sort of in the middle. And I said, look, day to day, you have to be present. Like you have to be here talking to employees, knowing all the roles. So really the glass behind us, if you visualize it physically, my wife runs everything that we all see this direction. And I sort of like help on everything behind the scenes. So whether it's the financial side, sort of the strategic partnerships or directions we're doing, whether it's with artists or not, distribution deals, anything that's to do with manufacturing and getting the product out, I probably have more of a hand in. Anything to do with sort of which coffees we're picking and how we're merchandised and how it becomes the beautiful community space it is, like that's 100% my wife and the team here that sort of runs it all. And so that's the other thing that I think was important when you're evaluating an opportunity. You look at what all the assets are, and the people here were really incredible. Like Matt, the brewer, is one of the most amazing brewers and people ever. Our ops manager, another guy named Matt, just you couldn't operate without him. So you have these like amazing. We have a bar manager who's amazing named Laura. We have an events person named Cassie who's incredible. We have Elliot at the coffee bar, but he actually ran multiple coffee and beer locations in Austin before moving here. He was
my hometown.
So he's amazing. So have you ever heard radio? Like he was opening and managing those.
Oh yeah.
And so we had all these assets where I'm like, man, if they were just pointed in the right direction, it's not like I'm over here doing all the lifting. Like this is a team effort for all of us. And I think all of those things combined, you have the right assets, you have a lot of overlooked opportunities that could have made this place profitable. And I felt like all of those things together made this a special opportunity.
Okay, that's wonderful. So you've owned this for 10 months.
Yeah.
And it seems things are going pretty well. How would you describe the craft beer scene or market in Northeast Florida?
That's a good question.
I'm full of them.
the th- the thing I love about craft beer is everyone's pretty community driven.
Mm-hmm.
So like even with other breweries, we're often doing pop-ups at those breweries, or they're coming here to do collaborations. We do collaborations with breweries all over. When we have a problem, actually, we call like Beelman, like Sean
Sean
Beelman,
Billman, yeah.
and we'll say, "Hey, this thing's broken. We don't know why." You know, he's often such a wealth of knowledge to sort of come in. Maybe we're manufacturing a custom part or something. Like it is a true community in the fullest sense. Like everybody wants each other to have the best possible beer, the best possible product, the best possible experience. That's so abnormal compared to most of the competitive environments we operate in. I find that awesome, and I think I don't know if it's like that everywhere because I'm not in the beer manufacturing business in
Other
El
markets.
Paso or something, but or Santa Cruz. But I can tell you in Northeast Florida, at the very least, it is a very community-driven environment where even the home brewers are talking to the sort of more commercial production, manufacturing guys, and it's just been a crazy fun experience where we all help each other out because, someone told me once, if someone goes to a bad brewery, they'll think that all the breweries are bad, like in terms of the craft brewers.
Okay.
So if they come and have a bad experience at Mocama, then they might not be willing to go to Intuition or go to.
I'm actually really glad you brought that up.
I figured we were going to go there.
Yeah, I mean, you said it.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. What happened? I mean, like you know what it's like to own one. They're the premier brewer in Jacksonville by name, and they had the most premier location out of anybody, being right by the stadium and the arena. So, what took place?
I actually don't know the answers to those questions. I agree. They're the premier place. Like we love going there. They've got a sick music venue. We go there before games to hang out with the wife and kids and family and friends. I've always had such a fond, like I really do like Intuition a lot. So it saddens me to see sort of what's happening, what's happening there.
Yeah.
Obviously, they announced that they're closing. I would say, yeah, I don't know the answer, but if I had to guess, the market's just really down right now. Like it's hard. We've been oversaturated with a lot of different craft beer like breweries for a long time. It's becoming, in some contexts, I want to say more global, but more regional maybe. So more people are not just producing for their own local market, but trying to win Florida. Now you're competing with, like we go head to head regularly with brands from Tampa or brands from,
like Cigar City.
Yeah. Or like Atlanta, or Athens, Georgia. And so it's interesting because brands that maybe wouldn't have creeped into that area, in your area before, are now suddenly competing with you for taps. Also, when you think about from the brewer standpoint, from the restaurant standpoint, when you're having run restaurants, you probably sell the same amount of beer with 5 taps as you do 20. But if you have 20 different taps now with all these craft beers, now you're holding inventory. You have to figure out which inventory goes bad, which one doesn't. You have all this excess storage for the kegs to replace those kegs. So in some respects, it's easier when you have less. And I think we're just seeing a kind of market correction from this boom that came for like the last 15 years. And my strategy with Mocama was we are built for scale, but we also have this beautiful, unique tap room. And so if we can just be the last one standing, then I think we win.
Yeah.
And so my whole view is like, we don't have to be the only one. We just have to make it longer, produce the best possible quality product.
Yeah.
And as these things go, I think we also have the added benefit of being in a hyper touristy area because the first thing a tourist asks when they come here is what's local, and I think that also helps us,
You know what question's coming?
What question?
Do you have any interest in looking into taking over Intuition downtown?
I would love to take over Intuition downtown.
Okay.
I do. I think there's a lot of questions that come with that. Obviously, what does a lease look like? Like, what costs are there? I have no idea how much money they were making or losing or what part of the business was struggling or doing well. My guess is they were probably treading water. Some months are good, some months are bad. I don't know what it looks like normalized out. A big question for me is like with a lot of it tied to the football games.
Yeah.
Is, with them leaving, for 2 years to Orlando,
It's 1 year. They're going to play with a limited capacity at this one at the stadium next year.
I had heard that
Yeah.
they were limited capacity and then going for 2 years to Orlando. But if it is 1 year, great.
Yeah.
But either way, I guess I'm less concerned with limited capacity. I'm more worried of them just being gone.
Yeah. All that's fair.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, it's 8 games a year, right? So it's the day to day.
But until I saw numbers, I couldn't tell you how much the knock-on effect is.
I just want to know that you're interested.
I'm 100% interested.
Yeah.
I love intuition. And the thing is, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, I mean, I might change some operations and maybe have some ideas or whatever, but I actually really like the space. I think their space is beautiful. I think their quality product is great. I think their bands are fire. Like, whenever I see bands playing there, they're always bands I really, really like.
Yeah.
They've done an incredible job of just being a bright spot for, in my opinion, Jacksonville. Like, I think they're a great place.
I couldn't agree more. That's why I was shocked to see that they're going to close their doors.
Me too.
But I would be interested in knowing, pie in the sky, if you were able to acquire them.
If I acquired them, I would keep them as Intuition.
You would. That was going to be my question.
I would not make it a Mocama South. I would keep the brand the same. I would try to figure out how to make Intuition operate as Intuition. I think there's a lot of value to having two separate brands and cultures, and they have a beautiful music space we don't have. Like they could, there's so many cool things that they could lean into that we don't do here that I think differentiate us enough. Yeah. And also, just from a business perspective, it's always good to have different distributors. They have a different distributor than us. They have sort of different sales channels and sales rep. Like, there's a lot of things I think that you don't want to overlap, that I think that it benefits you to be separated.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But I really like them a lot. And if you're listening, hit me up.
Yeah. we can make the intro happen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll bring it back to Mocama. That is a great thing, though. I hope that works out. I really do. Mainly because I think you're great, not blowing smoke because you're my guest. You've done a great job here.
Thank you. But my wife mostly.
Yeah.
To give
good job to her. But the other thing is, if you're willing to rehabilitate something that's so special to the community and then make it work and it's profitable, I would love to see you do it again for another staple that's so important to Jacksonville, and try to turn that thing around and keep it relevant.
I mean, that's what the thing that I see is, again, I told you, VCs are good at studying the market. Mm-hmm. When I look at the market right now, a lot of brands that are surviving are consolidating. So you are seeing these multiple brands owned by one entity because there are efficiencies. For example, I can buy grain for both organizations at the same time and get better pricing because of volume. There are things that we can do together while still maintaining the brand separate that I think benefit everybody. Yeah. And that's exciting for me. And that's where you're seeing these companies win. Like, you're seeing, 6 brands merge together into sort of like, still have separate brands, but they're sort of like all operating together and almost like a co-op arrangement. Okay. And I think that's, there's a lot of interesting ways to make it work that I think, if you're looking at the market, seem to be working well.
No, that's informative. Awesome. Like I said, I'll bring it back here for a minute because my team can't get over the way that the art on these cans look. How did this come to be? I mean, some of these are pretty special designs.
So, Mocama means big open water, and it was like an indigenous area, like word for where all the people met together. So from that, you have like the sun and the moon. So if you look at like all of our emblems, you have sun and moon characters, like these sort of inspirations here. Yep. And so you have sun and moon, and most of these can lines are astrology based. So when you see a lot of straight lines, you see sort of like things that are related to stars. So we have a style guide that's related to what the overall story of Mocama is. Now, I don't think we've told the story of Mocama well enough, but I think that people feel the art when they see it. Yeah. And we've spent a lot of time and effort on making these cans great. And I think that's it's helpful when you have some sort of style guide to go out of. Like, you're going to have straight lines, you're going to have this sort of like abstract astrology feel. And I think that's kind of the direction we go. We use the same sort of artists that we've had from the beginning. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Before I move on to some of the tech stuff, which I'm very excited to get into, if you had an opportunity to tell people why they should come here for various reasons, I want you to have the opportunity to do it.
I'm not prepared for that question, but I would say that Mocama is something different for everybody. So I think my wife describes it as a harbor where there's like different ships for different people. And so we have, soccer teams that come in here and baseball teams that come in here. We have the firefighters that come here every day. They'll be doing their team meetings here. Sometimes the firefighters will be sitting out front waiting for a call, having burritos and stuff here. I think this is a place for everybody to enjoy and like a truly community
Mhm.
spot. Um, like even the merch is made by a local vendor who used to come to our
Mhm.
artists markets that we did. And we went to her and said, hey, would you like to make all the merch for us here? So every single shirt here is handmade one by one piece at a time.
That's great.
We have a local sourdough woman who makes sourdough bread, comes in and sells every Wednesday. She sells out every Wednesday. She's at the front. She sells her sourdough breads. They're amazing. And we have, a charm bar woman who comes and does like charms for people. So it really does have this like community feel to it. And it feels like a heartbeat of the
Mhm.
community. And I think that's why you come here. You come here. The coffee is obviously amazing. I think we're the best coffee around, but you come here and you stay here because of the community and the feeling you get when you're.
That's good, man.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
It is a vibe.
Yeah.
The
Please come check it out.
other vibe I'm trying to curate is the entrepreneurship vibe in town. And famously, it's not that famous because it didn't leave the walls. But when you and I first spoke, it was famous to me because it stuck with me. As you said, I never thought about Jacksonville when it came to entrepreneurship. I'm always in Nashville or Austin or LA or San Francisco or whatever. But I never thought about Jacksonville, and it's in my backyard. Admittedly, anybody who watches this, excuse me, that has been in the entrepreneurship space knows that Jacksonville is kind of a lagging market.
Yeah.
How do we, I don't want to say fix it, but how do we bring it up to speed?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I wish I knew more about the market to give a better answer. But the reality is I'm almost embarrassed to admit I didn't go to anything. Like when we talked, I said, I'm kind of, I never even thought to go to a startup event here. I travel 200 days a year. We have startups all over the world. I helped build an accelerator program in Vancouver. I'm a mentor to some of the biggest ones in San Francisco. I've worked a lot in Austin, like Capital Factory and all the places there. I never once thought living here about Jacksonville. In Nashville, I'm openly the biggest fan of Nashville. I'm like part of a founders collective there. I'm a co-founder of a co-working space there for Exited Found.
What is it about Nashville? Like, why are you such a fan?
Honestly, I think it was the community side. Like Nashville's like a big small town, and I spent so much time there and had so many friends there. We lived there for a little bit. I just feel deeply connected to the city of Nashville.
Okay.
I've gone through Leadership Nashville. I've done leadership music there. I've built companies there. I've invested in companies there. But funny enough, we always called Nashville a switchboard city. None of us actually looked at investing in companies in Nashville. We all just enjoyed the benefits of living in Nashville. Like there's 32 major fund partners that live in Nashville.
Yeah.
We have quarterly dinners. Like I know for a fact everyone's there. No one's investing in startups there, or wasn't traditionally, probably until the last like 3 or 4 years. I think what happens is you build the community that people want to live in. And when you build the people the community want to live in, it attracts other people. And those other people then can't help themselves, just like me. I was living here and I thought, like, who's going to save this place? We have the ability, the means, and the time to do it. Like, why not? And we believe in it. Like, why not just try to help it?
Yeah.
That'll happen over and over and over again. So I guess my answer is the more you make Jacksonville a community driven, like great place to live, I think the more it attracts investment. The more investment you have, the more it attracts like good people to have big ideas.
Yeah.
And I think what I get excited about coming to the Link and hanging out with you is there's no shortage of big ideas here. I think they've maybe been lacking the ability to connect the dots and reach the people that are willing to believe in them.
Yeah. I'm trying to centralize it.
Yeah. And I think I was probably part of that problem for the last couple of years. Like I never really thought about it. I never came across anyone here building a startup.
Yeah.
Like, granted, I'm north of Jacksonville and Amelia Island, but I'm not meeting anyone here that's thinking like me. I feel like often like an alien, you know? In San Francisco, I feel like you could throw a rock in it. Like sometimes in line, I tell this story once, like I was in line with a data problem. I was describing my colleague about a data infrastructure issue we were having and how I wasn't sure how to fix it. And the person in the coffee shop line ahead of me turned around, said, grab me a pen, and drew out the entire data architecture for us, and then met with my head of data, and we implemented their star schema versus what we were doing, and it completely changed our problem, like solved our problem. And
Yeah.
that happened in a coffee shop in San Francisco. Like, I haven't had those like serendipitous moments in Jacksonville. I think the more that you create spaces that those moments can occur, I think that really unlocks people to think big and start like really driving towards something bigger.
Okay. I'm on record many times talking about this triangle that's Austin, Nashville, Jacksonville. And I said all three cities have something in common. They're all big cities and tax-free states with rivers flowing through the heart of the downtown. Two of them have taken advantage of it. One of them has not. That one being Jacksonville. So is it on the government, the local city government, to build opportunity for people to have big ideas, or is it on the community to band everybody together so that they can have an exchange or a flow of ideas and start building companies?
I think it's a mix of both, because I think it's government's job to attract the people to be here in the first place. I think if everyone has great ideas and they don't have the means to execute on those ideas, that's going to be a useless effort.
Yeah.
When I think about Nashville, think about what they're great at. They're great at logistics. They're great at healthcare. They're known as the music city.
Yeah.
I would say they don't actually export that much music. Like, most of the, coming from the music industry, most of the music, like brass, let's say, like the top tier, the people making decisions are still based in New York and LA or London. And so they're known as the music city because they have a lot of live music, but I wouldn't call that like their biggest industry. Definitely logistics, manufacturing, and healthcare.
Okay.
I would be looking at, when I look at a city, like, for example, we have a fund with Michigan. I'm wearing a Michigan sweatshirt right now. We're the only fund that the state has backed out that's out from outside the state. So they funded half of our fund. We invest in startups in Michigan. We focus on what we believe Michigan to be great at, which is manufacturing, advanced compute, advanced materials, and mobility.
Yeah.
I think I would try to figure out what Jacksonville is best positioned to be great at. If I had to guess, it's probably import, export.
Yes.
Probably
third biggest port in the United States.
So like that. There's a lot of manufacturing here. That makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of fintech.
Government.
Ton of fintech here.
Tech.
Yep.
Like when I think about defense technologies, like we've invested in some defense stuff. My mom ran a really large department in the military. 50% of the airplane parts at the time are made out of Jacks. So like,
oh, that doesn't shock me. I used to fix those airplanes here. That's why I'm here.
So I imagine that there is a massive DoD, defense tech, government, gov tech sector that could occur here. What I would look at is, what are the industries that Jacksonville can be the best at? And then I would try to build ideas around those industries and really drive that home. So if I was the local government, I would be thinking, how do I encourage those investors to show up here for these spaces? How do I encourage those large companies to come here and interact with the startups and say, hey, we're having a wiring harness issue. Can someone here make a wiring harness for our space vehicles? We're having payload issues. Can some of you guys do this? Like, tell us what your problems are so we can go build those things. So we immediately have a customer. I think that is the best marriage between sort of the business end and the large incumbents and startups. And when you start doing that, I think it's natural that the next things spin off. Because those founders start investing in the next founders, investing in the next founders, opening coffee shops, doing whatever. Like, it just sort of propels itself over time.
So as a VC, if you were to be in a room with a bunch of founders who are pitching their companies, whether they're at the idea stage or maybe they're past that, maybe they've already built an MVP, it doesn't matter. I really want to educate people who are building companies in Jacksonville. As an investor, what do you look for? Like, what are the things that interest you in setting meetings to talk to people about the ins and outs of their company and saying, yes, this is worth me giving you money?
I think at every stage is different, whether it's a pre-seed seed company, Series A, Series B plus. I'm going to focus on early stage because I think that's where most companies are here.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the early stage, I'm mostly looking at team. And I think a lot of founders mess up and think that revenue equals that more revenue equals valuation. That's actually not how we think about it. If you think about venture capital, it's binary. We either win or we lose. We need you to be $1 billion company. And most times we need you to return 100x return to make up for the 99 that we lost on, right? So we're playing an outlier game. If you can't be the outlier, then I'm not likely to invest, or you're not the best fit for venture capital. You might be the best fit for angel investors. You might be a best fit for a strategic investor, like a company investing. But for VC specific, I need to know that you're going to try to be big, and I believe that you can get there. And so at that early stage, what I'm looking for is really small indications that there could be a product market fit. At the pre-seed seed stage, I'm not trying to say this business has it all. I'm going to dump money on the fire. I'm trying to answer the question, is this a scalable product? Like, do people consistently want to buy this thing? And when I invest, it's not that I know the outcome. It's that I'm trying to answer that question first. And if the question then gets answered, yes, people are buying this, then I'm going to give you more money in a Series A to say, is it a scalable like structure? So people are buying it. Yes. Scalable. Yes. Series B, dump a bunch of money in and go as fast as you can. So in that beginning phase, I'm looking at team almost exclusively. Like, is this the person solving the problem? All the market sizing stuff, I don't even care what the founder could tell me it's worth $64 billion as an industry. We're going to do our own research. I'll come to the meeting with all of the market research and the problem solution sort of identified. And then we will have done all the math, basically saying this is a problem or not. At that stage, I'm saying, is this the founder that I like? And is this the founder to solve that particular problem? And I think that is what I'm looking for in that meeting. It's not 600,000 versus 1.2 million, or like if you go to like founders will think, oh, I went to 3 million ARR, so now I'm worth 50. But like, that's not how we risk adjust. Like 3 million is the same to me as 900,000. People are slightly willing to pay. My question is, could you be $1 billion company? I'm not going to be able to turn that on 3 million or 1 million.
Yeah, good call.
But I'm going to look at you as a team and say, I like this guy or this woman, and like, this is who we're investing in. And it could change. Like, there's massive pivots. Like, we invest all the time. Companies pivot a budget. We invested in one that was building like a stable coin and ended up being a HR company. And now they've raised massive amounts of money and done extremely well. But I definitely wouldn't have invested in them as an HR company. That was not the problem I was trying to solve. That's just sort of how they ended up.
Yeah.
And like, you invest in people and they sort of find their way.
So what do you say? I guess the moral of that story is the value is just get started.
For sure.
Right? Get started and then you pivot as the market tells you what it needs, right? I mean, is that's fair advice?
Totally. I mean, I think the stat is something like 40% of Y Combinator companies pivot before they're out of the accelerator. Like, it's pretty, like, if you think about it from that kind of context, they're finding great teams and then saying, go solve a problem. And if that problem changes, that's fine. Just go solve the other problem. So when I look at BTAP, for example, my company, we started by solving the question, how many times does a song get played on a streaming service? A label came to us and they said, we need you to build a real-time auditing solution. Because not a lot of people know this, but when Spotify gives them, or Apple or whoever gives them a report, it just says Snoop Dogg 100 million plays. There's no receipts, but you get paid based on how many plays you have. So they asked us to build a real-time auditing solution. When we built that solution, we accidentally discovered fraud. And if you have fraud, you can't be the real-time auditor. I can't tell you there's 100 million plays that we've tracked, but actually around 40 shouldn't count. Like, that's not auditing then. So we had to actually be the best at fraud detection before we could ever turn audit on. And our entire business shifted. Our customer moved from being a label to the streaming service. Our data stack went from being blockchain and process transactions to machine learning and AI to detect sort of clustering how humans behave. Like, the entire product changed, the customer changed, everything changed. And we had to make a decision, like, are we actually going to pivot and be this new company, which is entirely different than the company we envisioned being. And that's just how it works. And if you have a great team and you have athletes on your team, you just move with it. And I think that's really, that's how everyone should view it. Like, the other thing that I think was the best advice a VC ever gave me, Marvin Lau from 500 at the time, he handed me this check and he said, just die admirably. And I was like, what do you mean die admirably? And he's like, you have less than 1% chance of making it. Just go down with the ship. Just swing as hard as you can and go. And don't play it safe because you think you're trying to conserve my money. I'm fully aware that we're probably going to lose this money. I need you to go as hard as you can in the paint. And that's what I will respect. And if you do that, I will invest in you the next time. But just die admirably. Don't play it safe.
Okay.
That was the most freeing advice, because when you get the money, you always like feel like you got to protect it for these people. And when you take that off the table and now it's like, no, swing big. Like, don't play conservative. Don't play for a base hit. Play to hit a grand slam. Like, let's go. And I think I now tell that to every founder we write a check to is die admirably. I have a low chance of success. I will be here
Mhm.
to help you as much as I can, but like, don't play it safe because you think you're trying to conserve time. Like, go hard.
That's awesome, dude. That is awesome.
It was the best advice I've ever given, and
Mhm.
advice I now give to everyone we write a check to.
If a founder listened to this and they were like, I really want to talk to Andrew, how do they get to you?
Hit me up on LinkedIn, Andrew at sdv.vc,
Yep.
sidedoorventures.vc. I'm really open. I always try to help founders, give as much time as I can. Obviously my schedule's crazy, but I always try
Mhm.
to help them. Our whole team will too. So I'll introduce them to people on the team and sort of help them coach them through structures or,
Yeah.
a lot of times they're confused. Fundraising's hard. Like, how do you set your valuation cap? How much should you dilute? I know what all the math says, but like, doesn't seem to be working here. Like, what should we do? Like, I think,
Mhm.
there's just so many nuances to building a company, and it can be done so many ways. I bootstrapped a company, I VC backed a company. I built a services business. Like, there's
Mhm.
so many different things you can do. And I think every one of them should have a different sort of like DNA of how you get to the end zone,
Yeah. Awesome, man. I think I'm ready to put a pin in the tech thing and kind of move forward. Just to one thing real quick. You're a family man. You're a father of two,
Yeah.
two and a husband. And I know that that's important to you, but now that you've opened this place, you seem to really open the doors for families, for one, but two, but also for first responders. They seem to be very important to you. Why is that?
I mean, I've always been a fan of, I grew up in military family with both mom and dad who were military. So I think that was really important to me in general. But for first responders, I'd say specifically on this island, there's a special uh, like place in our hearts. My wife and our second kid, Easton, we have a 4.5-year-old, almost 5-year-old, and a almost 2-year-old. Um, she went into labor. She had an internal issue and placenta detached, and she had internal bleeding, and she was in a lot of pain. And the first responder who showed up, his name's Rusty. He saved her life, quite literally. Like, they came and saved my wife's life. We got her to the hospital. I think she arrived at 9:18 p.m. and the baby was out by 9:26. They just like cut and went. They said in most cases the wife or the baby don't make it, and in our case, God bless, like both survived and are thriving, did well. And the craziest part is we could always see him and his wife here at Mocama, and we saw them every day. And at first, it's like intimidating, like we didn't know Mocama at the time.
Hmm.
You come here every day, you see the people who just saved you, saw you at your most vulnerable moment. But in some weird way, it's sort of like attached. Like, this is the meeting place of everybody on the island. And we would see all these people who positively impact our life, and nobody more than Rusty and sort of all of the fire department. So I think, we have special discounts for them. We do as much as we can for them. Rusty, shout out Rusty. He won Firefighter of the Year this year. We have hosted the fire department annual gala here. I think it's important in a small community like this to really recognize the people that make the community run and sort of help everybody. Everyone needs a firefighter at some point, probably, or an EMT or a doctor or police. And I think that this is a community space for everybody, and it's important that they feel welcome, but also that they're recognized. And I think that it's hard when it's that personal not to really like lean into something.
Yeah. Awesome story, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, it really is.
Didn't feel awesome at the time.
No, not at the time, but it is now. What did we miss? We had to miss something. Did we miss anything?
The beer is incredible. I think the thing we don't often talk about is how good the liquid is. We increased sales at Publix last year, 11% year over year with zero marketing. People buy it. They like it. They rebuy it. I didn't expect that. I walked into quite possibly the best liquid I could ask for from one of the best brewers who used to brew at Dogfish and moved his entire family here from Miami to take this facility over and really make something special here. And so I think one of the godsends of taking this place over with my wife has been that the liquid is incredible. Like, I never have to worry about what the production team's doing. They're so smart. They'll come up with like an entire scheme, like let's say an entire presentation that's like, we want to try this new type of hop, this variant. They have like entire rigid, like, testing protocols. And I think what I hope gets across is, other than a community space that's turned around for the community, is like the beer and the actual product is incredible.
Yeah.
And it sells on its own. If no one knew anything about Mocama and they drank the beer, almost always they're coming back to drink it again. And I think that speaks volumes, because I can bring all the people through the door I want, but if it's not a good experience and the beer isn't good, they're not going to drink it or come back. And I think hats off to the actual brewing team and Matt and those guys, because they make incredible products that people enjoy. And I think that's often maybe overlooked with the sort of sparkliness of the venue.
Oh, it is sparkly. Yeah.
It is very
awesome, dude. I think anybody who is within a 20-mile radius and enjoys coffee should come here. I think if you're within a 20-mile radius and you enjoy beer, you should come here.
Buy it at Publix.
Yeah.
Have all the Publix, buy it at Winn-Dixie, buy it at Harris Teeter, like test it. See if you like it yourself, and come hang out. Bring your family. Yeah. Kids welcome, families welcome.
Yeah, man. Well, first off, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I like to sign off with a token of gratitude. This one's really easy for me. I'm a big believer in community. That's the whole reason we started this, was to tie the community together. And when you see a staple on its way out, and then you yourself come in and swoop in and keep it in the community and make it better for the community, it's a wonderful thing, man. I think you deserve all the praise in the world for that. And secondly, obviously, you're a builder by nature. You've built multiple companies and you mentor others, no matter where you are, to help them get their companies off the ground. So as a pioneer and as a builder and as a staple of the community, from my heart to yours, I want to say thank you.
I appreciate you. And I'm sorry that I took this long to embrace Jacksonville to its fullest.
That's okay.
And I laugh because now I have a rhythm. I come down to the link, go to the events, go grab a steak at Chop Out. Like I feel like I got like a whole rhythm going here, and I love it.
You have my word. We will make up for lost time.
I'm excited.
Awesome.
And if you guys get a chance to see me pitch, I'll be pitching at the startup event.
March 12th.
March 12th. I like to just, sometimes come up with crazy ideas.
Yeah.
Always looking for co-founders.
Awesome, dude. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate you.
Cheers.